Hello, I'm Tom Palmer and I wrote the story The Barnbow Lasses, which you may have been using in your classroom for Remembrance 2021. And I write books, and I've done 3 videos to support the Barnbow Lasses story. And this one is about how I go about writing a story and how I went about writing the Barnbow Lasses and my other books. Just to give you an idea about how I overcome like the massive problems, which are how do you write a story, where do you get your ideas, how do you plan it, how do you actually go from thinking I have to write a story to actually writing one. And I've got this thing which I've never actually done on a video before, so I thought I should do it for you because you're doing the Barnbow story. So and if you're not, you can still watch it. So I think there are 5 stages to writing a story. When I was writing the Barnbow Lasses, I went through 5 stages. I had the idea. I did some research. I did some planning. I wrote it, and then I edited it. And I was trying to think earlier, like I need to do sort of a sign, sort of with 5 things on it. So I thought about a 5-pointed star. Can you see that? That's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Hang on. Let's try and do it more firmly. Can you see that? Yes, you can see that. But I thought that was a bit rubbish, and I realised that what I should do is like a hand, because when I was just counting on my hand the 5 things, if I do on here, if I draw a hand, I'm really bad at drawing, by the way. There's a hand, right? If I do a hand, I can write the different stages of how I wrote Barnbow on here. So the first one I said was, and I do hope this shows up on your board. It should do, shouldn't it? Sorry about the shadow of my head looming around like a great boulder. So the first thing, when I'm writing a story, the first stage is the idea. So you've got the idea on there. Hope you can read that. The next stage is research. So you've had your idea, then you do some research to find out about what you need to do. Then the next stage is planning. And planning, I think planning is really important. And usually if I go into a classroom, half the people like planning and half the people hate it. And I genuinely think planning saves time, but we'll come to that. We'll come to that later in the video. The next stage is writing. If you'll notice, like writing is supposed to be the thing we're doing, but actually it's only 1/5 of what writing is all about, in my opinion. Finally, you've got editing. So I thought I'd write this, I'd draw this on here so that you can see it, and I hope you can see it okay. Let's hope it's going to come out on the video. We shall see when I check it later. So I wanted to run you through these 5 stages. This counts for any of my stories. So with the Barnbow Girls, I really wanted to write a story about the Barnbow Girls. I'm from Leeds, as you can tell. I'm from Leeds, and I love Leeds. And I'm really interested in stories about Leeds, and I'm always looking for stories about our city. And one of the stories I've always been aware of is the Barnbow Girls, the story of the women, the thousands of women who worked in the Munitions Factory during the First World War in Leeds. And that's always been an idea buzzing around in my head. I want to read about it. And hang on, I'll show you a couple of things. Just wait there, I'm coming. I have several books that I didn't prepare earlier that are histories of Leeds. The Story of Leeds by David Thompson. The Illustrated History of Leeds. And a more child-friendly book, Leeds, Children's History of Leeds. And I've read those, and you can read in those, you can read about the Barnbow Girls. And if you go to Leeds City Museum, which I did, and I've been there, and that's helped me with this idea, there is sort of material there that you can look at that tells you about this factory where these bombs were made for the First World War. And then suddenly this day in December 1916, one of the bombs went off and killed 35 women, and it's an absolute tragedy of war, and those women were doing their bit, to help win the war, just like the soldiers in the trenches and the sailors at sea and the sort of early flyers who are actually flying aeroplanes in the Royal Flying Corps. And so I've always wanted that to be a story I write. That is my idea. So that's the first sort of finger. So I've got my idea about what I want to write a story about, but I really don't know what to do. I need to find stuff out. So what I do then is I do lots of research, and I'm just going to check in here if I've got something I wanted to show you. I don't think I've got it here. But anyway, I wanted to do some research. Here it is. So what I did was I did lots of reading. I read loads of books, and I found photographs on the Leodis website. I just found out lots of things. If you've read the story, you'll know that Jazz lives on a street with a name. I won't give it away if you've not read the story. And they're the streets on a map that I found that just really helped me with the story. So I did all this research and I took loads of notes. I found loads of photographs and images. I spent a long time reading up about it. I went to Leeds Central Library, the reference library, which is wonderful. Anything you want to know about the city of Leeds, go to Leeds Central Library, the reference library, and you can find stuff out. I used to go there when I was in my sort of early 20s, when I was just getting ready to go to university. And I've done like loads of research there, and particularly for this is my Barnbow Lasses research book, and as you can see, I've done tons of research. So I've had my idea, I've done loads of research, and I read all these books as well. I know a lot about Leeds, I know a lot about the Barnbow Munitions Factory, and I've found out more about the Barnbow Girls. So I've done my research, and so these are the stages of writing the story. It's not just for me, it's not just sitting down going, once upon a time there was a whatever. It's have an idea that really means something to me. I'm from Leeds. I'm really interested in the story about women who fought who served in the First World War by making munitions. I've done my research, I've read around, I've found stuff out, I've talked to people, I've gone to the library, I've gone online, I've found out the things I need to know. And this is how to write a story. So I've got my idea. I hope this doesn't sound like an insane ramble, but I'm just being passionate about what I do. I've done my research. Next, I have to do my planning. Now, for some reason, I can't find my plan for the Barnbow story, but I can show you the plan that I'm working on at the moment. Because if you do research for a story and you find out page after page after page after page after page after page of information, it's great and it's wonderful. You've got all this information, but how do you make sense of it? You've got so much stuff. How do you actually turn it into something interesting? And for me, I do planning. So what I do is I get all the information, and I'll just grab this. I got all the information I need for what I'm writing about, and I find out, I get all the photographs and I get all the text I need, and then I sort of do a plan, and I do 2 stages of planning. This is stage 1. I do sort of like a spider diagram. This is my plan for a book I'm not supposed to talk about yet, so don't tell anyone about it. But this is my plan for the book I'm writing right now, which is coming out next year. But also, I do a more sort of structured plan like this. So this probably looks a bit insane, and I won't go into too much detail, but basically, in my story, there are lots of things that happen. I didn't know what order to put them in, so I put them all on little bits of card, different colours for different bits of the story. And for instance, this is about a girl who is a dancer. She's involved in the Second World War. So the dance bits are in green, the red bits are to do with the war, and I sort of do a plan like this to get it all sort of to make sense to me. And that is my plan. And once I've got that, now I can start writing chapter 1, blah, blah, blah. This is what's going to happen in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. And I've got it. And, I've got it all there in the place that I want it to be. And I can start to write the story. So that is why, even before you start to write the first words of your story, you've already done your idea, your research, and your planning. You've done 3 stages already before you actually start writing. Then I start writing. Right, for me, when I'm writing, I'm really conscious for stage 4, writing. I'm really conscious that I'm going to edit. So I know when I'm writing something that I'm going to edit it. I'm going to be changing it, improving it, taking things out, putting things in, swapping things, all that sort of thing. So when I write something, I don't worry too much. I don't think, oh, is that the right word, or what should I put there? If I don't know what I'm going to put, genuinely, I'll put blah, 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 X, 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 X. And I'll go on if I can't think of what to put. I'll write the story quite quickly, knowing I've made spelling mistakes, I've put the wrong things in the wrong place, I've done all this sort of stuff, but I kind of write quickly. Because I think if you're excited about a story and you write it down quickly, you can go back and deal with the problems, the spelling mistakes, the clumsy writing. My writing, my first drafts are awful. I should show you one, shouldn't I? But it's almost too embarrassing. They're not good. I'm a writer, right? I'm not that good a writer. My first drafts are not so good. However, what I am quite good at is planning and editing. So stage 4 is writing. Don't get too hung up when you're writing about mistakes and not being sure what you're going to put. Get down as much as you can, then you can go back and edit it, which is stage 5. Stage 5 is editing. And for me, editing is really important, because for me, I can go through, and I've written my first draft down. It's a mess, but what I can do is go through it and change it and improve it. And that's what I did with the Barnbow Lasses. I wrote my first draft, having had the idea, done the research, done my plan, which I seem to have lost, and then I wrote it down quite fast based on what my plan was. And then I went back and I changed it and changed it and changed it. I improved it. I changed the name of the dog. I changed, in the story there was some things that I didn't like. I cut them out. There was bits that were a bit confusing, so I tried to make them make more sense, and I just went through it. And then when I'd done that, I did another stage of editing where I just go through it and read it line by line and try to put in nicer words. Nicer, that's not a very good way of putting it. Stronger words. I'm kind of editing myself as I speak, aren't I? And that's what I do. I go through and I will check it through and through. And generally, when I'm writing a book, I will write sort of 10 drafts at least. I will write 10 drafts. And I'm not saying you should do that in school, but if you do 2 or even 3 drafts of a story, it's going to be so much better. There is a point to editing. You're not just doing it because your teacher wants you to. You're doing it because what you're doing is your editing is when you turn something. I should try and write it down. Right. So you've written something. I hope this comes up. And you want it to turn it into something that someone's going to read, right? So if you've written it, maybe you've enjoyed it, maybe not so much, but you want to turn it into something someone's going to read. To do that, you have to change it. You have to improve it, make it more readable. I do that 10 times, as I've said. So that process between writing something and reading something, that bit in between, that's editing, and that's really important. So to summarise this sort of explanation about how I wrote the Barnbow Lasses, I have an idea. Let's do it on this hand. I have my idea. I do my research. I do my planning, I write it, and then I edit it. And remember, writing isn't just actually sitting down writing the words of your story. As I said before, writing is the thinking, the finding out, the structuring before you've even started writing it, and the writing, and then the editing, the changing, and the making it better. They're the 5 stages of writing. So I should write writing on there, shouldn't I? Anyway. I've never done that on a board before. I hope that made sense. But they're the things that help me turn, to help me go from what am I trying to say? That help me go from wanting to write a story about something to actually having a story finished. And I think if you follow those 5 stages, you overcome a lot of the things which are annoying or difficult, or that it's hard to have enough confidence to do. Because confidence, when I'm writing, I lack confidence all the time, and the only reason I've got confidence is if I've got these structures, and that's what helps me write. Anyway, I hope that made sense and didn't come across as completely insane. Thank you for listening, and all the best to you and your families. Goodbye.